What's up, YouTube? I hope you're all well and having a great day. My name's Charles and you're watching Charles Soundbox TV. Right, in today's video, I'm going to be touching on how to box from a square stance. You guys have to remember, Cuban boxing, in terms of the amateur style, originates from Russian Soviet style boxing. Around the time of the Cuban Revolution during the 1960s, Cuba and the Soviet Union developed a good relationship. And one of the benefits that Cuba received from the Soviet Union during that period was boxing coaches that could teach the Soviet style of boxing to Cuba so that they could develop their own amateur boxing program. Although this is an old Soviet style of boxing, you can observe many boxers now from countries such as Cuba, Kazakhstan, Russia, Uzbekistan, Ukraine, that utilize the square stance within their boxing. Julio Cesar de la Cruz is a good example of a boxer that utilizes the square stance of boxing at the Olympic and World Championship level. You can see how he moves with good lateral movement and is able still to counter and attack his opponents. Right guys, that's enough of the chit chat. Let's get straight into it. Okay guys, so the square stance. Now the first thing that we want to establish is where we place our feet. Now the position that we land in after a jump is an appropriate place to start. Hand position. We want to place the hands in a similar position that we would when boxing in the traditional stance, okay? So here with the orthodox and the southpaw position, you can see that my hands are around this position, but because we're square, there will be no particular hand that takes a lead position or a rear position. So both hands will be in the same position. This will enable you to block any hooks, catch any straight punches, or block any uppercuts. Now, in terms of our movement, which is the next thing that I would like to talk about, we want to place more focus on how we change direction. But before we do that, we just need to know how we move our feet. So obviously the lead foot takes priority when moving in a particular direction. So when I say lead foot, I mean the foot that leads in that direction, not the lead foot in terms of your traditional stance. So at the start, it would probably be best as a beginner to start with this type of movement. Okay, and then here, so you work with the coordination of the feet. So the next thing would be for you to add a bit of speed and buoyancy to that beginner's movement so that it's more applicable to the ring. So here what you would want to do is now start pushing off with the rear foot and then adding a bit of speed to the lead foot, okay? And then that's just the general circle. So you would perform that kind of movement on the outside of the ring, okay, to improve upon your coordination between your feet. Now, I did say to you that the speed of the movement in any given direction should not be your focus. So your focus should be more so how you change direction, okay? Your change of direction will be the thing that frustrates your opponent more so than the speed at which you move in any given direction. To improve upon your change of direction, the drill that you would do is to relax this foot, let your body glide slightly, and then to catch your weight, push yourself back. There. It's almost like a side step, okay? There, okay? Now, when you're in the ring and you're moving at a very high speed, this distance increases, okay? When you're moving at a very low speed, then this distance decreases. You'll want to minimize your speed so that your change of direction is more manageable, okay? Now, the drill that you would want to set up is a 3-minute round where you have your coach who's prompting you to change by clap of hands or switch, a verbal prompt, and then you're trying to utilize the side step within the movement around the edge of the ring. If I'm performing this just in this small space here, you would be like this. Okay, you can see that every time I take a step, okay, there's a specific movement for me to change direction. So where your opponent is moving within the traditional stance, either orthodox or southpaw, it becomes really hard for him to keep up with your movement in the lateral direction. So that closes this section on how to move in the square stance. Now we move forward in how to attack, going forwards and backwards. So we start off by understanding that the attacks that you throw in the square stance are called contralateral attacks, okay, moving forward, and they are ipsilateral, moving backwards. So basically what that means, contralateral is where you move opposing limbs. So the left hand and the right leg are coordinated and synchronized together. Our right hand and left leg are coordinated and synchronized together. So ipsilateral is the same side. Okay, so as we're moving backwards, boom, ba, ba, okay? So we're throwing from the right side. When we move back with the right foot, we're throwing from the left side when we move back with the left foot. Now, this might appear a bit strange, but if you remember, this is how you walk. So you swing your left arm with your right leg, you swing your right arm with your left leg. So we're already geared to move in this way. However, for boxing, we are always taught to fight like this. Now, if it was so easy to, switch up the way how you've always moved from a young age and fight like this, then it should be easy also for you to coordinate yourself to fight like this, okay? So this is the idea behind Soviet boxing. Our natural movement should also be involved within our fighting style. The end points are actually taking you to a stance, okay? So your square stance when you're attacking actually has end points of the southpaw and orthodox stance. And I'll demonstrate that now. Contralateral moving forwards, ipsilateral moving backwards. So I'll demonstrate how we attack moving forwards with straight punches in the square stance, okay? So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, moving backwards now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now we want to take small controlled steps so that we can change direction at any given time. Remember, if you have long steps, you get from one place to another, but there's more commitment in doing that. If you notice something wrong along that path, you won't be able to change direction, okay? Or you won't be able to bring that direction to a stop. You will have to commit from A to B, okay? Whereas you have smaller, shorter steps, the commitment is not as much in any one given direction. We have small steps, ba, ba, ba. Okay, we move back, ba, ba, ba. Okay, so you're able to adapt to things that you see that develop along the course of your movement. So you can see how the square stance takes you from a square position to a southpaw cross stance, orthodox cross stance, moving backwards, southpaw cross stance, orthodox cross stance. We're going to make the line of attack for the square stance varied. Then what we would want to do is practice this with straight punches, uppercuts, and hooks. We would practice this 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. As part of your shadow boxing, and try to really understand how much you're moving with your feet the alignment of your arms when you're throwing the punches, keeping your arms in the defensive position so that you're taking care of defense whilst trying to strike, and then just maintaining balance as you do this. Now we're going to focus on defense. So the first line of defense would have been your movement, and more specifically your change of direction that I mentioned earlier with your movement, noticing where your opponent is trying to cut off the ring and then moving away from that, baiting your opponent in certain directions and then moving off into others. But in this particular section, what I'm trying to focus on is methods of exit points, slips and evasion from the central line that your opponent will try to strike along. So the first move I'm going to show you is the outstep, okay? Now the outstep from the square stance is very similar to the outstep from the traditional stance, but you have to deal with a lot more internal forces and a bit more angular momentum, okay? So we'll set up the outstep going off to the left with 2 attacks coming forward. Okay, so 2 straight punches. We go 1, 2, very small steps, remember. Now from here, the 2 focal points that I want to bring in is the right arm, retracting that, and the left foot, taking that out to the side. There, okay. Now, if you take the right arm back, it turns you, okay. Now, if you step out with the left foot, that also turns you. So combining the 2 things together will enable you to step out to the left and evade any counter attack from your opponent. So again, 1, 2, bah, okay, just there. So do you see my head is off the center line, which would be here? We can perform this with a counter as well. So 1, 2, now we throw the left hook over, boom, there, okay? And then we come out to the side. We're just gonna perform this with a bit of speed. Beep, beep, bah, okay, just there. And then we're off to the side. Now, if I wanna do this to exit on the right side, I can do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, okay? And then exit out this way. So the next move that I'm gonna show you is the retraction. With the retraction, you have more of a slip movement, okay? So let's say that we are attacking again our opponent with straight punches, okay? So we do 1, 2, okay? Now the focus again is still the right arm, how we retract the right arm, and then we step over with the right foot, okay? Bah, okay? That movement there. Then we take a small shuffle over to the side to evade the center line. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4. So what we can do to improve our muscle memory across the body is to perform this in this particular drill that I'm going to show you now. So we step back, we throw forward, and then we slip out to the right, take a small step. Do the same thing, left, step out, take a small step. Ba, be, ba. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so the next drill is the switch. So I'll demonstrate the switch now. So what we do, we set this again up with 2 straight punches from the square stance. So 1, 2. Now from here, we retract the right arm and we push with the right foot. And you see that we're in a orthodox cross position. So what we do, we pivot and we come off at an angle to face our opponent here. And that takes us off the center line. So again, 1, 2, there. Okay. Now we can come back with attacks at the angle where our opponent would probably fire down this line. So if we're doing this on the other side, boom, boom, bah, okay, just there. Now you can see that with the switch, we go back to our traditional stance. So From there, the jab is definitely a go-to punch once you've switched from the square stance cross position to the traditional stance where you now are off the center line and can attack your opponent from an angle. Now, it's important to realize that if you have never drilled the square stance, you cannot simply try to take what I've shown you in this video and then try to perform this in sparring. You will need to drill this and understand how it works, try to perform some technical sparring, and then try to bring elements of it within your sparring. Okay, so that will be the course of development that you should choose if you want this to be a skilled feature of your boxing. Right guys, we've come to the end of the video. I sincerely hope that you found that educational, informative, and also it adds an extra layer of skill to your boxing game. If you have any questions about what I've just demonstrated, how it can be improved, the number of rounds that you should really try to do this within shadow boxing, please leave them within the comments area below. Please feel free to share the video to anyone that you feel might benefit from the video. So another boxer, a coach, or even just a friend who wants to get into boxing and learn some basics. Well, of course, you've got to leave a like. That YouTube black market currency. Leave a like, people, leave a like. And if you want to become part of the Salbox squad, please remember to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to stay informed of any new content that I drop. Right guys, stay blessed, keep training, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.